Okay, welcome everyone to the first community spotlight of the Open Web Foundry V5. So the idea with these sessions is essentially that we get together once a week on Fridays, and we kind of talk about what we've been building together in the kind of presentation mode at the beginning with the stage, and then afterwards we just chat together, and it can be a great and collaborative way to learn more about what everyone else is working on and how what you are working on fits into the kind of broader picture. And it can be a great way for people to realize that there are, I was about to say synergies, I've realized how far I've come. Synergies in the serious context. Yeah, synergies between what people are building and yeah, start working together on stuff where their projects collide, if you will. So without further ado, I'm very glad to say that we've got three prior founders from, I think you were all in an Open Web Foundry batch at some point. Yeah, here with us today in the Arweave ecosystem to kind of tell us what they've been working on, and also tell you how those things might interact with what you're building. So for example, we're going to start with Tate, who's going to tell us a little bit about Verto, the profit sharing token exchange, but also Arconnect, which is the main wallet that everyone uses to interact with these applications, which you'll almost certainly want to use. So with that, yeah, Tate, can you tell us a little bit about Verto and Arconnect?
Yeah. Thanks for the introduction there, Sam. I appreciate it. So let me just share my screen really quickly. Actually, where is the share screen button? Is that?
It's right in the bottom.
Got it. Sorry about that. Okay. Cool. Let me know when you guys can see this. Good. All right. So we'll start with Verto. Yes, the team that I'm lucky to be on is working on two protocols. One is Verto, and then the other is Arconnect, as Sam mentioned. So Verto is meant to be the beating heart of the permaweb ecosystem. So if we get started, the big problem is, the Arweave ecosystem is blossoming. It's growing very rapidly at this point. Because of these foundry programs, people are flooding in and building really cool projects on top of the Arweave ecosystem. However, with the addition of SmartWeave, people are now minting tokens as well with these projects. And before Verto was in existence, there was actually no way for anyone to trade that value that was being produced and created through SmartWeave. And so that's kind of what led us to create Verto. But before I get into more detail about Verto, we kind of have a thesis. So chart, woohoo. But basically, the thesis is, because of the way SmartWeave contracts work inside of the Arweave ecosystem, it doesn't actually cost anybody any extra to tokenize the piece of data that they are uploading and storing permanently on the permaweb. And so that basically means that if you're uploading a piece of data, like a picture, and you just want to store it permanently, there is no additional fee to actually making that a token that you can sell and or give to somebody else. And so we have a thesis that over 90% of the data uploaded to the permaweb will be simultaneously tokenized by 2025. And what that means is, we're going to be seeing millions of pieces of data being tokenized, and we're going to need a place to actually browse those tokens for people to buy and sell. And also, more importantly, just discover the different types of things that people are tokenizing. And so this chart to the right here is kind of up to from when SmartWeave was kind of first in its infancy, just created, to just recently. I think this chart ends around the beginning of October. This is the total number of SmartWeave contracts that have been initialized over time. And so you can really see this beginning to play out. The number of SmartWeave contracts is really exponentially growing, which is pretty exciting to see. And so the solution to this thesis and the big problem that I kind of addressed in the first slide there is Verto. So we're trying to build an incredibly simple user experience for both users, regular end users, and developers to be able to add trading functionality into the protocols that they're building out. And so we have a user interface on Verto.Exchange that you can visit today, which looks like this. So you can see Verto right here. We have space for you to browse the different collectibles that people are minting. And so this is all live. You can see limestone here, which is actually redstone nowadays. But anyways, this is the user experience, and the goal is to make this as simple as possible for any users to interact with in as simple of a way as possible. So going back to the presentation here, we're also building out developer tools to make it very easy for developers to integrate trading functionality directly into their own protocols, so that you don't have to go straight through Verto.Exchange to actually make a trade. And the second protocol that we're building is something called Arconnect, which Sam mentioned earlier. And basically, Arconnect is kind of the gateway to the permaweb. It's the way that many people are interacting with other applications inside of the Arweave ecosystem in a secure way. So back to Brave, Arconnect is this. It's the browser extension that you can install to keep track of all the tokens that you hold, as well as like the NFTs, keep track of your transactions, sending tokens various places, all of the typical things that a wallet extension would do. And we also have a very simple developer API to enable devs to, as simply as possible, integrate support for Arconnect into their own applications, so that you don't have to worry about figuring out how a user should be able to securely interact with a permaweb application that you're building. So back to the presentation here. Here's an example of integration of Verto trading functionality. So it's literally 3 lines of code that it takes to integrate support for Verto into your own application. So like I keep mentioning, we want to make this as simple as possible so that anyone can add this support very easily and don't have to waste a bunch of time thinking about how to add, functionality like this into their own applications. Looking forward, we're also building out support for what we're calling custom asset pages, which effectively will enable developers to add support for their own components inside of Verto, so that when someone views an asset on Verto, you can add additional types of data or additional ways to interact with that asset inside of Verto itself. And this is meant to give users like a more customized experience to these types of assets, these different types of data that people are tokenizing. We also are rolling out a central limit order book contract, which will replace all of the Verto trading infrastructure that currently exists. That's a long story, but long story short, we'll be supporting limit orders and market orders for both sides. And it'll all be governed completely trustlessly by a SmartWeave contract. And then beyond that, we're also going to be rolling out a very simple automated market maker model, which enables people to very quickly seed markets for any tokens that they are minting inside of the Arweave ecosystem. So that's a little bit about us, about what we're working on, and would love to talk to anybody further about what we're working on, or learn about what you guys are working on. So just feel free to reach me at Tate@Verto.Exchange or on Discord. I'm sure you'll see me around. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Tate. So next up, we have Jakub from Redstone, which was previously Limestone that you saw trading on Verto there, who can tell us a little bit more about the contract system inside Arweave and the permaweb, as well as the Oracle system that they built. Jakub.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be there and tell you a bit more about our story. So I participated in the very first iteration of this incubator, and I truly loved the experience. I learned a lot. And let me tell you about the problem that I tried to solve at the beginning of the journey. So I was actively hacking in the DeFi space, but I struggled to find the data I really needed, like the information about interest rate or the liquidity. So when I dig deeper into the problem, it turned out that the oracles and the most commonly used approach when the data was put directly to the on-chain storage was just super expensive. So the market leader were paying like $500,000 daily in the gas fees. And obviously at such a high price, it was only possible to cover a small subset of tokens, no extra interesting data, and projects like mine or others were pushed out of the market. So either directly reading the data from the DEXs, which was super risky, or building their own in-house solution, which was often like a recipe for disaster. And the whole blockchain ecosystem suffered from more than $1 billion loss due to Oracle issues. So I did my research, and that's how I discovered Arweave. So I instantly fell in love with the project because this was not only million times cheaper than the storage on Ethereum, but also it got a really interesting technology behind it with the block with data availability proofs, and also the fact that it came with a built-in smart contracts make it like a perfect tool for Oracle. So we can not only cheaply store the data, but also get the programmatic incentives for the data consistency. And also the permanent track of records is a fantastic tool to perform a due diligence on any data provider. So that was the idea. And where are we now? So we are integrated with more than 60 data sources. So these are the DEXs, big off-chain exchanges, some financial data providers. We track more than 1,000 assets like token prices, commodities, stocks, etc. And even for the purpose of this week, at Lisbon Hackathon, we integrated sports data being approached by one of the teams building a solution there. And we managed to put $750 million data points on Arweave, which is a proof that that infrastructure really works at scale. And there are like about 20,000 users accessing our web API. And apart from storing the data on Arweave, we could also make it available on any EVM compatible chain. So you can utilize the chip storage and connect it to other projects on any chains that follow the Ethereum with their machine, like Avalanche, Stelo, Polygon, etc. And we also wanted the solution to be as decentralized as possible. So the management of the node is implemented purely in smart contracts. So any user can see whether a source was removed, added, or the probing interval was changed. But then when we prepared this nice UI, we got a few issues. So first of all, it was like taking a few minutes for that to render. So that's impossible for users to interact with. So we started step-by-step patching the smart with contracts. And after a few iterations, we get to the conclusion that let's do something crazy, let's do something brave, and let's try to re-implement the protocol so we can easily add optimizations and have a faster testing environment. So that was the reasoning behind our version of this smart contracts for on top of Arweave. When we identified the modules, we added a lot of external tools to memorize the state or to cache the transactions. That resulted in much improved performance. So currently the communication of our contract is almost real time, like sub-second evaluation time. And we also added developer tools, which could be like super interesting for you guys. So you can debug a contract that was already deployed, or you can add custom login, etc. So we wanted the framework to be really open and usable for anyone building contracts in the Arweave ecosystem. And we also prepared a tutorial, but instead like showing how to write the calculator, which we thought could be boring, we shown how to implement your own version of a loot contract, which actually gets a lot of traction. Like we got 10,000 transactions with people trying to mint the rarest artifacts possible. But also I recommend you to simply get through all of the points, implement your own contract, and just see that writing smart contracts on Arweave could be a funny and very enjoyable experience. So I think that's more or less everything about us. I recommend you to go to our website. We are quite open. You feel invited to our Discord. If you are coding a smart contract, we'd love to help. Or if you'd like to access some data that could be useful for you, we can also talk and connect that to our Oracle infrastructure.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And there's a lot of cool information there that I wasn't aware of. I didn't realize that you guys have reached 750 million data points. That's incredible. Oh, congratulations. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, now we've heard about smart contracts on top of Arweave and how they can be atomically linked to pieces of data, as Tate described, and an upcoming exchange on that allows you to do that. Maybe we should hear from Al, who's been working on Koii, which is a system that mints a fair few thousand atomic NFTs that are built exactly like this. Al, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, of course. Hey, folks. Apologies. I am not going to be on video today, unfortunately. I'm a little under the weather, so kind of off track here. But I'll try to give you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing with Koii. So the general idea of Koii, before we get into it, is that you can earn crypto for being cool. That sounds a little silly, but the general idea is every one of us every day is creating value online by just interacting and getting other people to engage online. And we want to give you the ability to capture that value. Before we get into that and tell you kind of how you can do that, I would like to talk about kind of the bigger picture of what's going on at Arweave and why it should be so exciting to you. So these are the 7 wonders of the world, or at least this is one collage that I found. Here's another one, which has different things in it, actually. And then here's another one that has the pyramids of Giza. And so what you'll notice is that actually all of these like great monuments are actually kind of testaments to sort of authoritarian regimes, especially if you look at the 7 wonders of the modern world, which are mostly business organizations that just like to profiteer and rent seek. And so the thing that we're really excited about is that the metaverse can fix this. So there's kind of this new wave of technology that brings everybody together online and creates a new ecosystem where we're all actually owners. And that's very powerful. And that's kind of what we're trying to enable with Arweave and with Koii and with a lot of other things that are happening here. And the coolest thing about this is that this new wonder of the world exists by all of our contributions. So the more that we are all able to participate, the more that we're all able to share our thoughts and to communicate and add to this kind of shared common system, the more powerful it all is. And Arweave is a massive step forward in that direction because of the ability to store information permanently in an efficient fashion, because lots of other people are trying to do this decentralized storage thing. But I think it's safe to say at this point that Arweave is a clear leader. And so what we're trying to do at Koii is to kind of put you in the driver's seat so that you can easily take advantage of these tools. And so that means giving the ability to earn your share and kind of get rewarded for using things online, but also to make it really easy for you to build things. So similarly to what the team at Redstone are working on, we've also kind of been working on our own versions of SmartWeave. We've been kind of discussing how we can make them all play nicely together. But there's so much to do here, and there's so much potential on Arweave and with the permaweb that we're trying to just make it really easy for other people to get involved so that we can make it kind of a larger and more open community that's easier and easier for people to get into. So the goal of Koii is to build sort of an operating system for the decentralized web, a single place that you can go with a basic understanding of JavaScript and start to build decentralized applications that let people connect in a peer-to-peer way. And so this starts with having decentralized app templates. So we're now working on templatifying most of the stuff that we're working on. So you'll be able to build apps that are running on atomic NFTs that you can deploy kind of seamlessly. We've talked to the team at Argo about trying to kind of augment what they're doing and give them some of our libraries and toolkits to make that even easier. We're also working on a concept called Core Tasks, which I'll get into in a couple of minutes. And that's basically a system for off-chain computation. We're using this for creating things like thumbnails and doing web scraping and a couple of other things. And then that actually led us down this path of like building really completely chain agnostic systems. So right now we're working on getting some of our nodes to handle bridging activities. And in order to do that, we've introduced a new DID standard that lets you have keys from different chains kind of authenticated into one identity. And so tying all of that together is this notion of atomic NFTs, which are ownable pieces of content on Arweave. And we think this is incredibly powerful because what that basically is it's that ability to have credit for your contribution to this great knowledge commons that we're all building. And it's really important that we have credit for that because along with credit for your contributions also comes responsibility for the words that you say and the things that you do. And reputation and things like that all kind of tie into this ability to have everybody be able to contribute. But it all comes down to being able to store it all on Arweave, which is really important. So I'll breeze through here really quickly. The general idea behind Atomic NFTs is that you can tag some content that you're uploading. And we actually didn't come up with this. I think Verto mostly created the idea, but we've tried to make it really easy for people to use because it's a great way to showcase the concept of attention rewards. It allows us to let people put some content on the internet and then immediately start earning money. And the best part is it's actually, for anybody who hasn't noticed this before, this is much more energy efficient than doing it on Ethereum. If just evidenced by the cost alone, there's a lot less energy being burned to create these Atomic NFTs. So we're trying to popularize people just kind of migrating onto Arweave permanently as the only platform for NFTs. And then similarly, if you are interested in getting one of our nodes, you can RSVP at Koii.me/1billion. This will allow you to basically do Koii tasks on your computer, which are essentially JavaScript runtimes. And each one of these runtimes basically takes on the properties of a small server. So you're able to customize a server that runs on somebody else's device, and you can get them to do a variety of things that happen off-chain, and then they write back onto the chain to claim a reward. So some of the examples of things we're using this for, I mentioned our thumbnails, web scraping, now also for our bridge, and we're using it for our daily attention task as well. So you can kind of try out this framework today, actually. We have the node and the Koii task standard that are both completely open source. So you can download those and give them a try. And then essentially what this will allow you to do is to be part of our kind of app framework. So if you provide one of your devices as a node, then you will have the ability to serve requests from our apps. And that's kind of meant to be the point of Koii. We think that Arweave is kind of the glue that's going to bind a lot of the internet together. So we're trying to make it possible so that you as an end user can use your decentralized ID along with Koii tasks and Koii nodes to interact with all the other networks that you might need to use. So you can have a kind of a unified experience. And that brings me to the DID. So I'll drop out here for a second. I just kind of want to quickly show off this new product that we've made. So if you go to Koii.me/u/al, you get my DID page. And so we started making these a little while ago just so that people could have kind of a profile picture. And the idea being that eventually we'll augment this with your NFT gallery as well as like other profiles that you have. But this also allows you to walk through the bridge. So your DID is registered on Arweave, and it connects your Ethereum address with your Arweave address, which allows you to then interact with both chains and kind of have a single identity that owns all your NFTs. So that was something we've been really excited about recently. As a big launch that's coming up as well, you can go to atomiczombies.io and you can get an RSVP for one of our Atomic Zombie drops. And I will give you a sneak peek of what those look like right now. The reason that I'm showing these off is because this is going to be the first thing that goes across our bridge. So we're minting 10,000 of them on Sunday. And then we're going to be allowing people to move them back and forth between Arweave and Ethereum. So this is just kind of a demo of what these look like. There's an animator in Calgary that did all the graphics and stuff for us, but these are all stored completely on Arweave. And it's actually all running on the Atomic NFT standard. So there's no secondary blockchain needed for any of the smart contracts. This is all kind of Arweave based. So we're very, very excited about these. They also have attention properties built into them. So if you get 5 people looking at them at the same time, they start to change color, and there's all kinds of other stuff like that. I think that's me way over my time, though, so I'm going to sign off here. The final thing I will say is thank you for your attention, and if you're interested in seeing more about Koii, this is kind of where you can find us.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I didn't realize that the Atomic Zombies had or reacted to people's attention. That's a really interesting component. And those are basically, if I'm not mistaken, permaweb pages at this point. And then they have a piece of JavaScript which reads the state of the Koii contract. Is that right? Or
yeah, so it's actually we take an iframe app, we compress it down into a single file using Arweave bundle, and then we put that up onto Arweave. So it's actually like a self-contained app, but each one's only about 100 kilobytes of JavaScript.
That's super cool. That's really interesting. Yeah, I love these like permaweb app experiences as NFTs. I think that's really interesting because it allows you to unlock like all the cool stuff that the graphic side of the web development community has been building for the last 20 years, and then make it available to people to kind of buy and own the experience in cyberspace. But anyway, maybe chat about that afterwards. And speaking of afterwards, now at this point in the community hangouts, we typically just kind of mill about in this coffee area. I assume everyone's got coffee. And just chat, and you can kind of move between the different groups that form and just see what people are talking about. Thank you all so much for joining us. Next week, I think we're going to start with people from this Foundry batch presenting. yeah, and so that's going to be super exciting to see the new things that are built in the ecosystem. But thank you again, Al, Jakub, and Tate for telling us about some of the stuff that's already more mature in the network. All right, guys, see you there.